Okay, on social media today, I asked how people felt about the media hype over Hillary Clinton running for president in 2016. Saturnine, in agreement with many others who wrote in, said, "I'd rather hear some media hype about Democrats taking back the House in 2014. Please and thank you." And BWD said, "I'm old enough to remember how she was a sure winner in 2008, too." True enough. Maybe it's time to start speculating on Hillary for 2024 or 2032. Whatever. Inherited power. It's a good thing. Earlier this week, Hillary Clinton made her first public appearance since stepping down as Secretary of State, speaking at an event honoring women leaders from around the world. Her attendance at the event has caused many to speculate once again, about whether Mrs. Clinton will be running come 2016. But with 2016 still quite a ways away, you tend to hear stories like this and think, well, who cares? Here's why you should care. To state the obvious, the U.S. has never had a female president, but the rest of the world has had many, including the 17 female world leaders currently in office. Pakistan is ahead of us on female leaders. Sure, they wound up killing her later, but the point is what matters. So the question may not necessarily be, will Hillary Clinton be our first female president, but instead, why has it taken us this long to have a female president at all? And I'm pleased to still be joined by the host of the Iranian satirical news show On 10, Saman Arbabi, and joining us, oh, I'm psyched for this, writer, comedian, and founder of the nationwide animal rescue Tales of Joy, Elayne Boosler, and editor-in-chief of thecontributor.com, Tina Dupuy. So since we're talking about women in powerful leadership positions, I want to ask the man first.
Ask a man, it's America.
Well, mainly because I want to ask what the international perspective is. Does the rest of the world, do your Middle Eastern friends and family, ever express any surprise that America's so behind the curve of having a female leader?
Not really, because actually in Iran, about 80% of the things that get done are by women. And the first woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize was Shirin Ebadi. Mm-hmm. So women have always taken to the streets first, and they've taken care of business first. 33% of the doctors are women. That's 1 out of every 3 doctors.
Wow.
So we obviously, the government's different, so but in society, women have always been a step or two ahead of the men. That's why I can't even talk right now.
How does that feel, Elayne, to know in a repressive society against women, as Iran is told to us on the media all day, that they're ahead of us in so many ways?
Well, I think the reason we don't have anything like that, the history of other countries, is that America is such a much younger country. And we're still, we haven't been weaned yet. We are literally still in the breastfeeding stage. We're in the Victoria's Secret stage. And look at our mentality. The Kardashians have $50 million, and Madeleine Albright can't buy Skittles.
Oh my God, that's true. I was on a train once with Madeleine Albright. And,
right, did she ask you to buy her a coffee?
She was on a train.
Yeah,
and she was on a train, not a jet.
She was on the Amtrak
there
to
you
DC.
Go.
But you know, it's really, really true. And Tina, is it embarrassing? I mean, do you ever get embarrassed that America still hasn't done it, that we're behind so many other countries?
Yes, I was just in Iceland, and they are enjoying, she's not only a female, but she's also a lesbian. And, you know, they're not only recovering nicely from their economic collapse, but yeah, no, it is embarrassing. You know, but I mean, we're having debates about whether birth control is okay. Yeah. I mean, we're having debates about, you know, basically they want to nationalize women's bodies and criminalize birth control. I mean, we're still having that debate.
Isn't that great to have the people who hate the government the most want it to have the most power over your uterus?
Yes, they want to shrink government down to fit in your vagina.
Well, Saman, let me ask you, can you envision a day down the line, maybe even in our lifetimes, where there are more female leaders in the Muslim world? Absolutely.
I mean, Pakistan's one of the most extremist Islamic countries on earth. Mm-hmm. I would compare, like, there's only Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. And if they could have one, then
do you think there'll ever be a time where they can drive?
I was going to say.
In Saudi Arabia, I don't think so. Not anytime soon.
Now they can drive. They can ride a bicycle, just not to go anywhere.
Well, in some of the countries you go to, I'm sorry, I mean, but you see the men, they're holding hands, and their wives are like 50 feet behind.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And it's going to take another 50 years for them to
catch up in the
You know what? I will say to that, the internet is an amazing, wonderful thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if progress happens faster than we expected.
Absolutely.
I always wondered why they hate us so much if they don't have to drive with us.
Yeah,
where's that coming from?
Well, really quick, because I want to be like a conventional news show. Okay. Do we think Hillary Clinton will be the next president?
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah, from the mouth of babes.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think that she's going to run, and I really would love to see her as the first president.
Saman,
I have since I was 13 years old.
Is she popular
I would be
around
very
the country?
happy.
Around the world?
Hillary is, yeah. Hillary is, and I think she is definitely qualified, and
She can do
she's up in the
everything-
ratings.
I
She
know
can do
she certainly
everything
is.
that Bill can do, but backwards and in heels.
In fairness, I have to say, while I have a lot of respect for Mrs. Clinton, I will enthusiastically vote for her if she's Elizabeth Warren's running mate, because that's who I want to be first for president. Switching gears here, the UN approved a treaty this week that would regulate arms sales to tyrannical regimes. Only Iran, North Korea, and Syria voted against it, although the NRA loves it. The treaty will almost definitely be killed in the Senate, where anti-gun senators are echoing the NRA's false claims that this will affect gun owners in the U.S. That's a lie. Get used to it. Are these senators really willing to put the will of gun lobbyists over our national security again? Elayne?
Yeah, I think so. I have two things I want to say. One is, I think it's time to build a very large wooden basketball player on wheels and present it to Kim Jong-un as a gift. That's number one.
I don't know. Apparently Dennis Rodman is the Neville Chamberlain of 21st century failed
I think he
diplomacy.
thought he was meeting Obama. And number two, I would like to just say to the NRA, if this is my camera, we are getting tired of prying your guns out of your cold, dead hands.
Tina?
This is the UN just feeds into a conspiracy theory that, spoiler alert, the Jews are behind it, about a one world government that's trying to take your guns.
Right.
And so this really, this is a dog whistle to gun nuts. And so senators who are feeding into this kind of crazed conspiracy are, of course, going to put our national security above our national security, or their conspiracy theories above
Our national, yeah.
security.
And I mean, when you think about national security, keeping kids from being mowed down by guys who legally bought a kill machine seems to fit the definition.
Yeah,
much.
this has nothing to do with reality. This has everything to do with they've already decided that this is true, and so they regard all other facts to fit into their worldview.
There really is no country like America and the rest of the world when it comes to guns, is there?
No, our Second Amendment is like unheard of anywhere else. The fact that NRA is on the same side as Syria, Iran, and North Korea
Should tell you
should
something.
tell you
That's-
something.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Exactly.
It does. Strange
That should be a
BFFs
bumper
indeed.
Right.
sticker.
Well-
I want it. I don't even own a car. I want that as a bumper
Put it
sticker.
on your
Crazy.
coat.
So why is it when it comes to gun control, common sense and the will of the people is being so thoroughly trampled on by the will and desire of gun manufacturers and their lobbyists? I mean, how did this group, no other lobbying group has this power. The AFL-CIO doesn't have this kind of power. How did these guys manage in a short amount of time, because the NRA began as a gun safety organization, not as a gimme, gimme, gimme what I want.
Sure.
How did they manage to run our country?
They bought enough legislation. You know, this is the only industry in America that cannot be sued. You can sue Chrysler if your brakes fail, and you can get $1 million if someone dies or you hit a wall. You cannot sue any part of the gun industry. Even if a gun blows up in
That's
your
right.
face and kills you because it misfired, you cannot sue them. They bought enough of our leaders, and shame on them. And that really is what America needs to do. There are so many responsible gun owners that should say the NRA does not represent me or what I believe or what I want, and they should pull out and take the power away from this insane minority that puts profit above the lives of children.
And so far, there's been one NRA member who's done that, and it's former President George H.W. Bush. And that's the only one. And it's especially ironic because the NRA does not speak for their members. To other countries, the UN Arms Trade Treaty was a huge deal, and many wanted even stronger regulation. So let me ask you, Saman, how do you think our country's gun culture or obsession is viewed by others around the world?
Very violent. Believe it or not, with all the mess in the Middle East, it's usually people don't have guns. You don't hear about armed robberies or kids going to schools and killing each other. Most of the killings happen between the governments and the police and stuff.
You don't think this is costing America money? You think
Right, no.
people are not coming here anymore?
And they
You don't
play
think it
into
has
that.
taken a huge bite out of tourism and that dollar? They're
Exactly.
costing
However,
America so
I want
much.
to thank Campbell Brown for telling us in the Journal today that it's all because of video games and violent films, because they don't
Yeah.
have those in other
Sure.
countries.
No.
My panel stays with me after the break as we remember Roger Ebert, our friend.